On this episode, a simple way to have dramatically better sexual control. This is the Holistic Alpha Male Optimization Podcast, where we help you unleash your true power as a man. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm Stephen Mathis. Thank you for listening, for watching. Let's talk about having sexual control. It matters to every guy who is in any way engaged with his sexuality, which doesn't represent 100%. It's a large percentage. Having the ability to control our sexual energy in the moment matters to, I would say, every guy engaged with his sexuality. And for a lot of guys, having a bigger picture control of our sexual energy matters. But certainly all guys in the moment, we want to be able to decide, okay, do I want to ejaculate right now? Do I not want to ejaculate right now? And not be pulled around by that. We have the desire to control that ourselves. I would like to give you a simple thought, kind of a swing thought, if you will. I know a lot of you guys, not all of you, a lot of you may have played golf at some point in your life. Similar to how we might approach a golf swing with a single, simple thought that is an anchor point. It allows us to focus as we execute that. It does give us something to anchor ourselves to, but it's not overly complicated because that just gets in the way. So again, if we picture a golf swing, if you're trying to think about four different things, your wrist hinge and your hip turn and how you engage your hips versus your shoulders as you approach the ball. If you're trying to think about all these different things, it's not going to work. Conversely, if you're not thinking about anything and you're just mindlessly swinging, that's not really going to work very well either. What does work is having a simple, effective, and very potent swing thought that is an anchor for you to come back to. What I would like to give you right now in the next few minutes is that kind of anchor for your sexual energy so that you have better control. There are a lot of factors to this, and there's lots of factors to having control of our sexual energy and how charged up it is and all these things that we talk about. But having a single thought that we can come to in the moment, that we can have as an anchor, makes a huge difference. And this is a very, very effective one. And it is very simple. And that is this. I'd like you to think about bringing that sexual energy to the back half of your body, to the back part of your body, all the way from your soles, the soles of your feet. Because if we go head to toe and we look at the front half of our body versus the back half of our body, the soles of our feet are part of that back half. So from the soles of our feet all the way up to the top of your head, that entire back half of your body, including the back half of your arms, as you focus on that, you're going to draw energy away from the front part of your body, which as you start to lose control of your sexual energy, what happens is it builds up in a very concentrated place. It builds up. Maybe you feel it in your cock. Maybe you feel it at the base of that. Maybe you feel it in that sort of general area, maybe a little deeper, kind of behind that. However you tune into it, it's somewhere in a more focused area, and it's right there sort of in the front. And it's all there, and all that energy comes to that spot. And if we can reverse that flow from the spot to everything else, it makes all the difference in the world. And that's what focusing on the back half of your body will do, because our focus determines where our energy goes. Our focus determines where our energy goes. That is how we move energy. Yes, we might do something like engaging a Kegel squeeze, a root squeeze, which I'll talk about in just a moment, a little bit more. However, the primary way that we move energy in our body and in our life, really, but certainly in our body in this context, is we move it based on where we place our awareness, where we place our focus. So as you're really engaged in that energy, if you tune into this, what you will discover is that if you're losing control of that energy, your awareness of your focus is one of two places. It's either in that front area where that energy is building and your mind is just kind of drawn to that. A lot of you may be finding that, or It's just kind of feels out of control. You don't really know exactly where it is. When you can bring your focus under control, and when you can bring it to the back half of your being, you will be in far more control of your energy, because the more you focus on that, that's where the energy will go. And that's where it can be stored. That's where you can hold an unlimited amount of sexual energy, an unlimited amount of life force. In this front area, in our genital area, it is a finite amount of energy that we can hold there in the moment and overall. And if we exceed that, we're going to want to release. You might be having a wet dream. If you're exceeding it day to day, you might be having some kind of angst and just it's overwhelming. Or in the moment, you have the urge to release. But in the back half of our body, you can store unlimited life force there. So there's a couple ways to apply this, very specific ways. One is that when you are engaged in what I would call a warm draw, meaning you're relatively aroused, that energy is pretty charged, and you're drawing it very specifically with a root squeeze, with a Kegel squeeze. As you're engaged in that kind of practice, or that part of your practice, if you imagine as you're drawing that energy to merely draw it anywhere to the back half of your being, it's a very, very effective way to approach that. You may also be thinking about drawing it up your spine. You may also be thinking about sort of the top of your head. That is a key focus. If you're not thinking about just the back half of your being, I would suggest that your focus in those moments when you're drawing that energy up be the top of your head, because that's where we really want to pull that energy. But that's a very specific spot. And especially in the moment, in the heat of the moment, you're having sex with your girlfriend, your wife, you're in the heat of an edging session. In those kind of moments, simply just being able to think back half of the body, not even think it, just feel it. Because as you practice this in your edging sessions, as you put this into practice having sex, it will become automatic, where you don't have to think about it, where your automatic response in the moment to a desire to have more control, to a desire to maybe pull some sexual energy back into the rest of your being, and also just as a place to rest as you're engaged in that. All of that will become much more automatic, where you don't have to think about it. It just becomes automatic, where it becomes back half of your being. You might feel it in the back of your arms. You might feel it in the back of your legs, the soles of your feet, all along the back side of you, all kind of spread out, or maybe in the top of your head. That is really the top part of that back half of you in this context. This simple thought, thinking the back half, draw it back there, makes a huge difference. The other specific way to apply this is to relax in that spot. So I've spoken many times before about how important it is in terms of having control of your sexual energy, having stamina, being able to last, how important it is that we relax. That means relaxing our root muscle, relaxing our breath, relaxing the rest of our body, relaxing our mind. Again, as we're in that state of relaxation, so not when you're in a state of wanting to actively pull energy up, but when you're in a state of just engaging with that energy in a continual, but ideally relaxed way, because as you engage with it in a relaxed way, it allows you to maintain a level of control and to continue to engage with it at a certain kind of arousal level without that arousal level climbing and losing control. That relaxation can be very much helped by having an anchor point. So if your intention in the moment is to find and rest in that place of relaxation, having an anchor to come back to is very helpful. I've talked many times before about the breath. That is very beneficial as well. But when it comes to our energy, as that energy builds up, it's not just a normal kind of anchor point. We have this additional requirement of how we can anchor that energy. So if you focus on the back half of your being as an anchor point when you're in that state of relaxing, that will be hugely beneficial as well. So overall, be aware and By the way, some of you guys may be more or less aware of this, what I'm talking about as it relates to feeling it in your own body. It completely depends upon where you are in the journey and how in tune you are with that and how much time you've spent working with that and getting familiar with it. So if this seems a little foreign and you can't quite tune into it, that's okay. It doesn't mean you won't ever be able to tune into it. It just means you can't tune into it yet. So keep this in mind, keep working on it, keep practicing, keep engaging with your sexuality in a positive way. Oh, it is such a beautiful, positive thing. It really can lift you up. I love seeing humans of all of all kinds, mostly men, although I do engage with some women in this regard, both in my personal life and also in a professional kind of context around some of this, both men and women. When we empower ourselves sexually in a healed, sacred, intentional way, it has such tremendous power to shift our life. It's a beautiful thing. It's also a beautiful thing that the interwebs is making this little moment possible. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. Have an amazing rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon.